Hello. Welcome to the video where I plan to explain my thoughts and theories of media we choose together. Today, we will be discussing MADFATHER, a survival horror puzzle RPG that was released originally in 2012, which revolves around a strange yet tough little girl and her mad father. My personal thoughts are overwhelmingly positive about this game itself. Even if I don't like the censorship of certain places, it is nowhere close to Miss Sao's borderline babification of one of the more interesting scenes in the game. We will primarily be speaking about the characters and their motivations, as well as their psychology in this video. We have multiple people to choose from, so I will solely pick each character that has a main focus in the spotlight. There will definitely be at least 3 or 2 videos on this game. But Ogre, aka Mr. Onigawara, our charming traveling salesman, misery-feeding beast, will be getting his very own video considering MADFATHER is only a puzzle piece to his entire character. Either way, this horror game takes place in, I believe, old Germany, with a dysfunctional family and a terrible, terrible secret held under wraps. As I've said before, I will likely be making multiple videos on this game, as the lore of this universe is very interesting, and I have a couple of theories surrounding it. Please enjoy the rest of the video. To put it simply, Aya is a character made originally for you to feel for and believe she's an innocent, oblivious child. But throughout the game, she survives close encounters mostly on her own and still picks herself up. But there is a darker side to this young child that would be impossible to ignore, keeping us from calling her a hero and only being able to refer to her as a protagonist. Aya is described and written to be seemingly compassionate, shy, empathetic, happy, and polite young girl. But if you pay attention closely to the way she behaves, you can notice that the young girl kind of has a few screws loose. Growing up with a serial killer father, a strange mother, and a random obsessive young woman her father brought in can definitely explain why she does what she does. It is expressed throughout the entire game that she admires and wants to understand and maybe even participate in her father's gruesome work. To which she explains herself, it is bad. Bad work. We are able to learn that much like her father at a young age, she killed 2 cats, likely one of her own, maybe even harmed a dog. She shows very little empathy for the animals and only apologizes for hurting them because her father had to tell her. Aya had a fascination with chainsaws like her father, and grew up isolated, unmedicated, and mostly looking up to her father, who stated to not pay attention to her much. Her mother let her grow up, being told to smile for her parents' sake. Even though she was trying to express her own emotions, and it seems like some of her smiles were not truly genuine. What I got from her character after a few moments of the game was that she was a deeply disturbed child, with moments of false empathy and compassion that only really showed when she was in the process of already hurting others. She showed flashes of selfishness, possessiveness, and even disregard for precious life. And yes, it can be argued that she's just a kid who doesn't know any better, but when she becomes an adult, she grows up to be just like her mother. She were the one conducting the terrible experiments. She kills an innocent, sick girl and is haunted by her. She doesn't apologize nor even acknowledge it when she wakes up. She shows that she doesn't plan to stop following in her father's footsteps. Aya also shows signs, even in early life, that she is emotionally stunted from her time of being isolated from the rest of the world and from her trauma of experiencing the curse. But this all doesn't mean she does not have genuine kindness, of course. We see her being compassionate to Inez and Robin, as well as to Maria. It seems like her compassion is only for people she feels like she knows well enough, thus why she shows her compassion to them only after learning what happened to them. She also feels the same way about Kalina, but at first she still pushed her to the ground, so it's not much different. But despite there being so much good in her, Aya is sadly just like her parents, likely because of Ogre's involvement. Maria seems to be one of the more genuine and most sympathetic characters in the game. She is very open, or more appropriately black and white, about her behaviors. She is a very compassionate soul deep down, but her focus and will always be survival, and the undying loyalty to the people she admires. We learn through the game that she was a poorly homeless young lady. Though likely older than most of his victims, Alfred through his treatment gives me the energy of a groomer and his victim. She was always compassionate, and she still is, but naturally feels an obligation to save those that saved her. Maria also seems to have a fascination with knives, or more particularly, knife throwing, having a dartboard in her room and using them primarily as a weapon to protect herself and others, albeit not the best item to use when against a chainsaw or injured. She loves Aya like a daughter, clearly, and they are genuinely a loving family, though repeating the mistakes of the past. She's a good egg, and unfortunately good eggs are extremely easy to manipulate, which is why even after Aya's dip into madness, she stays, even if she states beforehand that she has a terrible feeling about all of it.
Aya! Boo!
Alfred is a all-around dumb bastard and a general piece of crap that easily reflects the abusive figures of our lives. Even if there is a whole advanced reality, serial killer thing going on, is a manipulative and incredibly one-sided affair with Maria was telling enough, but God, he is terrible. Alfred seems to be the type of man that is willing to groom and abuse the people around him, not only for personal pleasure or gratification, but mainly for power and practice. His creep factor, I feel, is only replicated by the Minnesota Shrike, aka Garrett Jacob Hobbs, Hannibal fame, a borderline PDF file obsession with his daughter and other young girls that he can preserve and honor the beauty of. Don't even get me started with what shit he pulls in All the Gems run, creating a, and I quote directly from Mr. Onigawara, a more mature vessel of his daughter that he seemed to already have planned for, judging on the test tubes of people he had in the game. He was already practicing for a potential future of how he would clone his daughter and do God knows what with her. Alfred shows signs of a necrophiliac, judging on how he finds dead people beautiful, primarily AFABs, and places them in compromising types of positions, clothes, and even just does not dress them at all. Throughout the gameplay, we do learn that he has severe psychological problems, and perhaps is off his medication throughout the span of the game. He is a serial killer that Aya's hybristophiliac mother, Monica, married. Alfred killed his own mother, killed animals, killed his wife, and killed multiple innocents before likely getting arrested for a short amount of time. He married into fortune when he married Monica. If we look at the strange switches of behavior when he has his hands on a deadly weapon, primarily by the switch up of his behavior towards young Inez. Alfred is a severely sick person, and though it could be hereditary, his mother showed no signs of mental illness, and it would be easy to assume his father likely passed away. All in all, Alfred is a deeply manipulative, creepy, evil, vile man who only thinks about himself. Monica Drevis is a matriarch hidden behind the facade of a compassionate yet vengeful mother. There's a lot I can say in regards to her character, regarding to how she's presented herself in the beginning, and it would be easy to say she was a good woman, and that it was never intended for her to be this way. But there were warning signs. We learn in the Blood Game mode that she was a classist, disrespectful wretch growing up, calling her aunt a disgrace because her aunt was a genuinely compassionate person, and then likely turned her into a doll to hang as a decoration, perhaps with Alfred's help. She used her own daughter as a way to get the future she wanted, and the revenge she wanted against Maria and Alfred. Her parents were involved in the occult, which is likely how she managed to cause a curse. and the science of preserving youth through death, which is what she knew Alfred wanted. How did she know? We learned she was writing letters to murderers in prison, particularly love letters, in hopes of finding a man she wanted to share her future with. And that serial-killing man wound up being Alfred, who she shows great possessiveness and unhealthy obsession for. Monica is a selfish, cruel woman who thinks of nobody but herself. And though she does love her daughter, she loves herself way more. Robin, the young blonde boy who was promised a family after suffering the tragedy of his family burning alive, shows a brotherly protectiveness for Aya and was genuinely a compassionate being who had no ill intents whatsoever. His horrid malformation, courtesy of the fire likely, but also probably Alfred, was judged early, and though he was constantly treated as a monster by the people he wished to save, he always came back and tried to help. And we learn, unlike other subjects, that he is very much alive, and yet consistently risked his life to keep Aya, and by proxy, Maria, safe. Albeit under Monica's instructions. Inez was a young girl adopted by Alfred Rivas when she was found being beat up by a cowardly store owner. She was homeless and starving, perhaps orphaned. She is seen showing signs of a great need for love, acceptance, and family. She provides a very sisterly behavior towards Aya, and though Aya doesn't recognize it until too late, Inez loves her little sister, regardless of the man Aya came from. She serves as a foil in the story, and she is very contrasting towards Aya's sweet and perfect kind of behavior. Instead, she is very rebellious and playful. The only difference is Inez will never be able to experience a full life. Furthermore, this game is a wonderful experience with an extremely memorable story and soundtrack. I recommend purchasing it and trying to see what interpretation you come up with. Remember, all theories and headcanons are valid, and unlike most, I would never force my opinion to be yours. Thank you for watching.